Okay, a little announcement for everybody. The next review that I have planned will be a crossover review with changeling reviewer Heartsy Artsy, who I've worked with before and who's done artwork for my Pony OC. I've actually got a few different projects planned for her, but the crossovers that we're doing are holding up the video production until that time happens. One will be on my channel after her audio comes in and I know how to improvise something around it. The other will be on her channel. Link to her channel in the description and link to the video once it's up. That's the end of the announcement, and to fill out the time I figured I would do a little spoiler-filled speculation video. So from now on out, I'll be reading off titles of the rest of the episodes that are left and what my thoughts are on them. So here we go. Here's the spoiler part. Dungeons and Discord is coming out next week. I think this could be a very fun episode, a lot like Gravity Falls' Dungeons, Dungeons and More Dungeons, or like the Star Trek The Next Generation episode, Cupid, which was the episode where Q sends Picard and crew off to a Robin Hood fantasy world and makes them live in Sherwood Forest and fight the Sheriff of Nottingham to rescue the maid Marion. It's one of the more fun Q episodes, and I think that a Dungeons and Dragons style episode could play out a lot like that episode of Star Trek. There's a lot of Dungeons and Dragons stuff out there in the mass media, and I'll eventually be looking those up and going over some of those. But I would definitely suggest looking up Ponies the Anthology. They make a couple of clever references to Dungeons and Dragons in two of the anthology videos. I would also say look up that episode of Gravity Falls I was on about. Dungeons and Dragons style gaming also gets used in Adventure Time, Hey Arnold, Recess, a few other things. There's even a couple of Brony and non-Brony reviewers out there who love the series enough to go on to some detail about it. So you might want to look some of those guys up as well. It's a shame that some of them aren't current video makers, because I'd love to have seen their thoughts on this particular subject. Buckball season is the next one. It'll probably be your standard baseball style episode with characters teaming up and tossing the ball around. It'll probably play out like a Charlie Brown episode, or Bad News Bears, or Angels in the Outfield, or one of those other underdog stories where the teams rack up points and stuff happens and whatever. It'll be a nice little world building thing. We've never seen ponies play organized sports, so it'll be a nice change of pace. The Fault in Our Cutie Marks is one that I had spoiled during one of the conventions when they previewed some of the artwork. For a long time, I had thought that maybe this wasn't going to ever happen, but it looks like it is. I still don't know what the title means per se, but it looks like we're definitely going to be seeing the Cutie Mark Crusaders heading out and helping some interesting characters get their cutie marks. It'll definitely be world building and hopefully the setup for something that'll pay off later down the road. Hopefully a Diamond Tiara episode, but I can't really assume too much from the little bit that I know about it. Viva Los Pegasus. This is a fun idea. We finally get to go to one of the places I've always wanted to go to. But the question still lays as to how Los Pegasus will be depicted. Will My Little Pony allow a child-friendly audience to be exposed to the concept of gambling? Slot machines, blackjack, poker, roulette wheels, all that sort of thing, or will it be more of a large arcade area, or perhaps a venue for various magicians to come around? I've always wanted to see things like Rainbow Dash trying to kick a gambling habit, Rarity getting obsessed with slot machines and doing fashion show stuff, Trixie and Starlight Glimmer competing alongside bona fide versions of Penn and Teller, Pinkie Pie doing some kind of fancy burlesque style stage show perhaps. But it sounds like we're going to be putting the focus on Applejack and Fluttershy this time. Perhaps Applejack will be back to her I'm afraid of cities and newfangled technology and modern ways, and I'm comfortable on the farm and I feel out of place self. And maybe Fluttershy will be investigating some kind of stage performance duo in the realm of similar to Siegfried and Roy, and they'll have like a white bangled tiger or something similar, and Fluttershy will see the performers mistreating animals and she'll have to help the performing animals get better treatment. Or maybe it'll be a case of Fluttershy being too naive and getting taken advantage of, while Applejack has to teach her to stop being a doormat, which would be a repeat of a lesson she's already had, but it's not beyond the show to do stuff like that. Every little thing she does is apparently going to be a Starlight Glimmer episode, not a Celestia episode as many of us would have thought, not a Fluttershy episode as I had previously predicted. But now that I know who the she is in the Every Little Thing She Does is going to be Starlight Glimmer, I can better discuss this than the last time when I was trying to speculate about what was going on. And this sounds like, from what I'm reading, it might be Starlight Glimmer's equivalent to Lesson 0, where she's worried about getting her lessons done on time and tries to do a whole bunch of things to make up for her lost efforts. It's something she was fretting about in the recent episode, and something she's clearly still worried about, even though she learned that you can learn friendship lessons anywhere. It'll also be very similar to her episode that she did with Trixie, when she was stressing out about finding some pony to suddenly become friends with. Pony POV, I still have no idea what it'll be, but I'd love to see that first pony perspective where you shoot the entire thing through the eyes of different ponies from different perspectives. Do part of the episode from an Earth pony's point of view and part of the episode from a unicorn's point of view, and then do part of the episode up in the sky from a Pegasus point of view and have the camera be the pony's head. That's what I think would be interesting, but I just don't know enough about this. I've heard that it's going to be a Rarity episode and it's going to be set in her boutique, but we already had that plot, and I don't know how this will be different from Row and Wreck. or if maybe the synopsises for these episodes got a little mixed up and we're getting wrong information. Where the apple lies is still a bit of a mystery to me. I wonder if maybe Applejack has a secret place that she goes where she just has solitude and goes off to herself, and while she's alone she has a completely different personality, and then when she's in public view she takes on the personality that we know. Or maybe it's an episode where Applejack is pressured into going against her element and she's horribly out of character for this episode. I'm actually worried about this episode sucking, but who knows. Then we have Top Bolt. This is obviously going to be like a Top Gun kind of thing. A lot of Wonderbolt stuff going on, maybe some kind of competition to see who gets promoted, and maybe at the end Rainbow Dash takes some kind of important rank and gets to have leadership responsibilities within the Wonderbolts. And it'll be just in time because the next 2 episodes are the 2-part finale for Season 6, which is To Where and Back Again, which still asks the question, to where would ponies go and to where would they come back again from? Could be a montage of multiple map episodes linked together, or perhaps one epic journey that sends them off to some far-off exciting place. Maybe the Changeling Kingdom after all of this build-up over a couple of episodes. Or maybe they're off to the Zebra homeland, or the Dragonlands, go back with Ember and all that. Maybe to Griffinstone, maybe to outer space, maybe to the human world. There's a lot of possibilities, perhaps under the sea. Maybe, who knows where, maybe off where T-Rex was from originally, or to Tartarus, where T-Rex is currently. There's so many possibilities that ponies could travel to on amazing adventures, and I'm afraid that over-speculation will raise hopes only to have those hopes dashed when we don't go to any of these fabulous places. I hope it's not someplace we've been before, at the very, very least. But the question that's raised with this season finale is, will the season finale be a lead-up to the My Little Pony movie, or will those two things stand on their own and the season finale will conclude on its own and have nothing to do with the season, and will have nothing to do with the My Little Pony movie, and therefore it'll be its own thing off on its own, while the My Little Pony movie will also be a separate adventure. And speaking of the My Little Pony movie, what kind of adventure will it be exactly? Who will be in it? Who won't be in it? Will we get to see Trixie and Starlight and Sunset Shimmer and Flash Sentry and Discord and all these other awesome characters that we've come to know and love in the movie? Or will the movie just be about the main 6? And when the movie's over, will it be a final conclusion to this series, or will it lead up to events in Season 7, and Season 7 will carry over movie characters, and we'll watch Season 7 going like, gee, it's full of characters from that movie, sure glad we watched it, otherwise we'd be all wondering where these characters came from. Yeah, I've seen movies do that before. Things like Care Bears and Transformers love to introduce new characters in movies and carry them over to the next season, making the movie required watching. While My Little Pony hasn't made Equestria Girls required watching, it very well could with the upcoming movie. Anyhow, that's all of the speculations and questions and updates and so forth for now. Thank you for watching, and good night.